Welcome to Fixate Today Book Club, where we obsess about books and want to share our fixations with you. Check out our podcast, Fixate Today Gone Tomorrow, and for more content, browse through the rest of our channel, Fixate Today Gray Matters.
All right, let's go on to chapter 5.
Yes. All right. Just before 3 a.m. on the 13th, two Moscow police officers patrolling Band Field and the nearby Greek Row for alcohol offenses spotted 4 male students in the elongated grassy expanse that stretched from the Sigma Chi fraternity house to the small apartment complexes of Taylor Avenue, a winding 2-lane thoroughfare running beneath the King Road neighborhood. At a certain angle from the field, the roofline of the King Road residence was visible above Taylor Avenue.
So this is pretty interesting,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, although it's not directly related, it is
It
painting a
is.
picture of what's kind of happening. So right across the street, right in a field at 3 a.m. So pretty close to the, right before this happened. Yeah. So there's some drunken kids walking across the field. And they say the police approached from a distance. The first young man was carrying 2 unopened beers, and he complied at the stop request. The police wanted to confirm that he was a legal drinking age. And again, I think this one says kind of gives you an idea of what's going on, but also there was, I mean, the police were present. They were kind
Yeah.
of used to being in this part of town at this time on a weekend night
Yeah.
because of reasons like this, right? So, that's what I kind of got from that is that their police presence was not uncommon in this area.
Yes. The issue, and I don't think this is a police issue, actually. I think it's just a circumstantial issue, is they had now been accustomed to looking for things like this, looking for underage drinking and looking for noise complaints, because there hadn't been anything more urgent to look for kind of at this point. Like the norm was patrolling for underage drinking and things like that. It wasn't looking for a masked figure in the night. Yeah, so I think that's kind of a big deal too. It's not that they were distracted by that part of their job, certainly, but that's what they were used to doing. And the King Road house was quiet, so there's no reason to be there. They're not looking for the quiet houses with nobody there or nobody awake.
So, anyways, we know about this interaction because of body cam video.
Yep.
And I just have to read this part because it's slightly humorous in this sad story. But
We have
so
to find the humor sometimes in any way we
a
can.
little bit, yeah, yeah. So the officer asked them, "You guys take off on me?" One of the young men responded, "I thought it was just like a fake person, honestly." How many fake people are out here that you've experienced? The officer asked. I found that funny. And then they get into this discussion about how much the boys had to drink and whether
Yeah.
there were shots or no shots or just beer. And then he says, "What kind of beer?" "Bush Light," 2 of them answered. So,
The most college beer there is. They have this interaction with these students, and they even comment that it's a pretty slow weekend. They're expecting it to be a bit busier. It was cold out. Like that's all we kind of. It's just like a quiet, calm interaction. But the King Road residence was just up the hill from where they stood, maybe a few hundred yards away as the crow flies. And it was around 3:30, and this was the time that the white Hyundai Elantra was making its circles in front of the King Road residence, just up the street from where the police were.
yeah, so we have 3:30 a.m. We've got the police that we know are there close by, and yeah, we have this car circling. E- I mean, something I've thought of is why do you think he perpetrated this on a weekend? 'cause it seems like, there's obviously a lot of activity. Obviously, there seems to be more police presence because, because of the drinking in the college town. I just wonder sometimes why he would have chosen a weekend night to
Um,
perpetrate this crime.
I wonder if, like, we still don't know 100% who his main target was. We know that there was a one person who suffered a great deal of overkill, um, and it appears that one person was the ultimate target. Um, it's interesting that this is the weekend Kaylee was visiting. Kaylee wasn't there all the time anymore, and she was here for the weekend.
That good point.
That's the
I hadn't thought of it that way exactly.
Yeah. Besides that, I don't know. It could have been something as simple as if he was watching and seeing the comings and goings of the house. Um, he knew typically on a Saturday everybody's home by this time or something. Like it could even be something like that. But yeah, I also think, well, actually, this just occurred to me. The police are busier on a weekend, aren't they? They're out
True.
patrolling
They're
and
preoccupied with other
yeah, a bit.
things.
I guess preoccupied is the better word. A bit more preoccupied. The time for the police to get there could take a little bit longer if they're called because they're not, they're out and busy.
So and they did talk about how there's, like, a very specific timing to, these Saturday nights, like we
Mm-hmm.
kinda talked about, like 1 AM, people are going home,
Yep. Bars
things
close
get a
at
little
2.
busy and yeah, and then by, right around that 3, 4 o'clock, everything quiets down. So I suppose there was, yep, a little bit of a predictability,
Yeah.
and if he, we will later hear that he had been sort of casing the place.
Yeah.
So maybe he had seen the pattern, knew to be there, knew that he would be able to see who entered the house, knew they would all kind of be coming in at a certain time. So he would have an idea of who was in there, who had entered.
Yeah.
Um,
And that I think that goes back to your point you made a couple episodes ago. I can't remember when, about the DoorDash driver not scaring him off
mhm.
because that was
Yeah,
probably not part of the plan, unless every Saturday night Ethan and Xana ordered DoorDash. But that doesn't seem like, I don't know. Maybe it was. Who knows? But that probably wasn't part of the plan.
but keeping this Hyundai Elantra is has passed the house several times. They say contemplating, he must have been contemplating his way into the house.
Yeah.
And well, we'll see. This becomes our kind of the first clue. Well, the first clue, one of the first clues in how they find this guy.
Yeah. And I think, again, kind of what we just said, it's circling in plain sight. Like it's the middle of the night, yes, but
Yeah,
it's circling in plain sight with people that could be seeing it who just aren't. It just like
it,
things kind of like stacked perfectly for him in a lot of ways for Koberger.
it did.
Like
It
certain
did.
things had to fall into place and they did. Chapter 6. Security cameras and cell tower data told a story, but they didn't reveal who was behind the Elantra steering wheel or how events unspooled inside 1122 King Road. So we obviously learned that the security camera footage, cell phone information have created a pretty good layout of Koberger's movements outside of the house that night. And I think it's just fascinating, the different pieces of like technology that were used to like put together this puzzle. It's so interesting to me.
Just so many security cameras everywhere.
Hmm.
Part of me almost feels like it would almost be hard to. How do people think they're going to get away with crimes in this day and age?
I know.
Yeah, you know what it says, and we kinda talked about this. It says specifically, "By 3:30 AM, the neighborhood was reliably still."
Yeah. Yep.
So, and by that time, the car had already circled 3 times.
Yep.
right? And that was seen on security
Well,
video. So,
it was the 3:30
um,
to 4 o'clock time that it circled.
and it was seen like kind of entering the road like at a snail's pace. So it was
Yeah.
like it was certainly driving slowly, definitely looking in.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, like, I 100%, when I don't know where I am or I'm looking for a house I've never been to, I drive at a snail's pace. So I could even see that being explained away. And I have circled because I've missed the turn to somebody's driveway and circled around. So I can even see how that, as suspicious as it is in hindsight, could be explained away. Is like the Uber driver dropping someone off at the wrong address, or, uh, and yeah, that's what I kept thinking, is like, I've done this, but it's because I am bad at directions.
And we need to remember those apartments up on the hill too. I think what do they call them?
Queen Apartments.
So, and they're up on the hill, that hill in the backyard, kind of overlooking um, down below, and they do see this car making the Elantra making an awkward 3-point turn,
Mhm.
um, in order to exit the area.
He would have driven slowly up the incline past 1122, turned around slightly at Queen Apartments, and followed the asphalt 100 yards to the parking bluff that overlooked the home through the small cluster of woods.
Kaylee's bedroom could be seen on the top floor of the residence, so and it was very easy to see. There was sliding glass door and a porch kind of up there, and it was very easy to see right through her windows from there. So, and they would have seen the lights on, and then turn off. So I think he was able to tell when things had quieted down, in the house. So it was right a few minutes after 4 a.m. that, probably who we know now as Kohlberger, like, shut off his vehicle, and stepped out onto the pavement. And we also know that in the pa n now we know that in
Yeah.
the past few months, via his cell phone information, that he had been utilized from the nearby towers, that he had done this. He had been driving by, at least a dozen times, it was always in the late hours, it was always at night like this, um, and yeah, his vehicle was slowly climbing past the residence on each of those nights, and then can be seen turning around in the parking lot area of the Queen apartment,
Mhm.
preparing for his crimes by surveilling the area, law enforcement has suggested.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I kind of wonder, was he surveilling or was he just stalking?
Yeah. I wonder the same thing. Um,
Or was it stalking, I guess, that then
Turned into
um,
surveilling.
progressed over time?
That's kind of my thought. That's what I think.
So he's all covered in black, right? And he climbs down through the brush and the trees, which kind of would have hidden him. He goes in through that back sliding glass door, which is unlocked. Um, and yeah, just walks in.
Yeah. And he goes directly um to a small stairway that would go up to the third floor, where Maddie and Kaylee, it says, had been preparing for sleep. But then by the time the unsub was upstairs, the golden doodle, not much older than a puppy, began to bark. The audio was picked up by a neighboring camera.
Here is the audio.
A dog began to bark, as if something was wrong.
He says the dog barked, oh my gosh, through the bloodshed
Yeah.
and through the sounds of the two girls, these best friends since junior high, struggling, but then eventually falling beside each other in the same bed. The gashes in their bodies made by a fixed blade hunting knife, so long it could have halved a watermelon in one stroke, and so quick as to be impossible to successfully defend against. And this is where we hear from downstairs, the female voice yelled to be quiet. This is awful, but Kaylee and Maddie's blood had leaked onto the mattress where they are believed to have died almost immediately.
Mhm.
And the golden doodle, the dog, was shut into the bedroom across the hall. And so it eventually quieted.
So I have to get on my, like, I love my dog so much thing, that he is a rescue, and he has, like, his vet has been like, "You can see that he has some trauma." And it's like, you can see on how our dog behaves that, like, there was trauma associated in how we, how we came to get him. Like, something happened before we got him. And I'm just like, this poor dog had to. I know it's just a dog, but it's like dogs carry trauma, and that just makes me so sad.
That is. But we kind of talked about how everything sort of fell into place a little bit for Kohlberger. And I think this dog barking, yeah, which could have been seen as like bringing attention to it, but it actually covered a lot of the sounds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's an unplanned, but that I don't think that was planned, but it certainly ended up being to his favor
Yeah.
in the
Um,
end. So,
what do you, and we can cut this if it's, I don't know if it's dark, but what do you make of Koberger not hurting the dog?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Other than maybe he did recognize that the barking was helping to hide the sounds.
Hmm.
Or this sounds weird, but maybe it's hard to catch a dog. Is
I mean, my
that weird?
thought also was like the dog wasn't part of the plan, kind of in the
Correct.
same
I would have
way.
thought he would have known. I would have thought he would have if he had been watching.
But they share
I would have
custody
thought
of the dog, Kaylee and Jack,
so.
so
It's
maybe
not always.
that's not entirely predictable.
I kind of wondered how he got the dog in the door with the bedroom shut. Or I suppose it could have been in there beforehand. I guess for some reason I envisioned him like somehow or another putting the dog in the bedroom and shutting the door. But now that I think about it, maybe the dog was just over in that room
Or like the dog had run
because
over
it was
there and
over
shut
in
the door or something.
yeah, because it was in the dog would seem like it was over in Maddie's room.
Hmm.
No,
Wherever
I
they
can't
were
remember.
together, the dog was with them.
But it got shut in the door across from them.
Yeah.
When the police arrived, it was in
Yeah.
the other bedroom
It could
with the
have
door
it
shut.
could
So
have even like been something as simple as like the dog ran that way and he just shut the door behind
yeah,
him. He's like, "Oh, he's in there."
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think the dog and Dylan were kind of the same to him. Like they weren't the plan.
yeah,
And then I do think if Murphy the dog had somehow prevented him from executing his plan, the dog would have been hurt. And
yeah.
because we know that, well, we're pretty certain that Xana and Ethan weren't part of the plan, and so
Yes,
they were
and they weren't part of the plan, but they became a barrier.
right.
So he had to deal with that.
And I think once the dog was in the other room and uh, not a barrier any longer, it's not something he's concerned with.
Now we kind of go back to some social media. We're going to jump back a little bit and then talk a lot about, um, well, how Kohlberger kind of would have known the layout of
Hmm.
the room a little bit because there had been a lot of videos posted, um, like of the girls dancing and just having fun in that communal living room.
Yep.
They did a lot of like TikTok videos. I guess stalking them online, he would have known a little bit about the layout from that.
Yeah, because he did truly seem to know, like, and this was from surveilling too. You could see into Kaylee's window basically, but he knew right where to go to get up to that area of the house. We talked about this before we started recording. The house kind of became its own character,
Yeah,
And I think
Definitely think so.
it's taken me, and this is partly because I don't process things like this very well. I don't process layouts and things like this. I've had to like really think about the layout of the house and like the path that different people took, and like how they could be, like I said, ships in the night. And it makes total sense that they
And
yeah,
I did too, like, definitely had to think through this layout, and maybe that's part of the reason I keep harping on it, like, explaining it to people over and over again, because I do think it's so important,
yeah,
and it is difficult to picture, or to follow, I guess, without a picture of
yeah.
sorts being drawn. So, alright,
All
so
right.
I think this is one area now where I find this really interesting, and I kind of want to talk about it. So
Okay.
they talk about how they were filming. They filmed these TikTok videos. They were girls like the ones that other people had gone to prom with, popular girls wearing bright colors, smiling for the cameras, and their friends. I find this to be a key to the emotions of the killer.
Mhm.
I think this key point, and it might be controversial for me to say this, but because I mean, we know that he was very socially awkward. I feel like it's been implied maybe that his obsession was based on being attracted or like sexual desires for the girls, but
I think that plays into kind of the incel theory that um there's a theory that he was what is called an involuntary celibate. And what this has kind of become to mean is a young man who is kind of angry at the world for him not being able to not just have sex, but like get a girlfriend at all or attention from women. Um, and for like in a lot of cases like that specifically that we've seen, um, the kind of like desire for female companionship turns into like a loathing that the attention that they want isn't being given to them. And so it could be I feel like that hatred could stem from feeling scorned, even
yeah, it's like a defense mechanism of
yeah,
sorts.
and even if like even if none of them ever spoke to him, none of them had an interaction, none of them were mean, none of them bullied him or anything like that, just the
Right.
very fact that they weren't giving him positive attention could have been the trigger, could have been like why he hated them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I think they stirred a strong emotion in him, maybe an uncomfortable emotion that he couldn't even quite, understand
yeah,
or explain. It was just strong emotion.
yeah. We will find out that he had feelings about women that were misogynistic, um, in his time as I think, teaching assistant when he was doing his PhD. Um, but I get the incel vibes. um,
And I think so did authorities. Or I mean, I do think that was I don't think you're the only one who got that vibe.
yeah, I know he was on some internet things and stuff like that. But I think a lot of the kind of red pill incel sphere, um, radicalized is likely too strong. I don't know if that's too strong of a word or what, but he learned some things on the internet that, when somebody is socially awkward, not getting attention that they feel like they should be getting, um, and then are inundated on the internet with men who confirm that they should be getting the attention. It's not their fault that they're not. It's these women have too high expectations, like whatever it is, that the women are at fault for the men who are not getting the attention from women that they believe they are deserved. And that
And we do know that he had he was online
a lot.
a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
He had a
And
very big like presence on.
it is such a danger to be trapped in that echo chamber.
Mhm.
I am actually uh, forced my older kids to watch that Netflix show Adolescence
Okay.
because it is a story about a 13-year-old boy who kills a 13-year-old girl. And it's a lot of like the manosphere stuff that even at that young they can find it, and it kind of they learn that they're deserved things that aren't being given to them.
Yep.
And it's a slippery slope and happens fast.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I think
Yeah.
he found himself, and he was on the spectrum, is on the spectrum. um yeah, our whole brand is that we fixate on things. And so I can
Mhm.
absolutely see that becoming the fixation and him putting everything
Yeah.
into almost like proving that these things were real and right and happening to him.
Yep. Very good point. Um, so okay, so we're gonna move on now, and this is part of the story I think that also was very surprising to people. So okay, so he would have come down the stairs at this point. So he has essentially killed the two girls upstairs. He comes down the stairs, and he would have met Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is where, because Ethan he's not a little guy. He's
Yeah.
6'4". He was in the doorway of Xana's room. He is by all accounts like an athletic, strong guy. So I think a lot of people thought, like, how could this have happened? How could he have not stopped this? And but they do say, I mean, his veins of his neck were brutally severed.
I was
So I
gonna
think
say,
the
like,
implication was it was quick.
the answer is the knife, is how it happened. I mean, if they talked about it, it can half a watermelon.
Yeah, it's a very sizable weapon that he specifically ordered for this
Yeah.
purpose.
And
Well, I shouldn't say that. We don't know that.
I think that's the only way he got by Ethan, was the weapon he chose.
Yeah. So we also know that Xana, who's little, 5'3", 112 pounds. Again, remember, she was a gymnast, so I feel like she was a strong girl. She fought back, based on the wounds, the defensive wounds they found on her. The theory is that she really fought back.
Yeah.
Um, but obviously he was able to overpower her. Okay, so we're at like approximately 4:20
This
in the
took
morning. So this has been quick.
20 minutes.
Um, so the Unsub gets back into his Elantra, and he speeds away this time
Mm-hmm.
from King Road. He leaves Moscow entirely. So the whole thing took 20 minutes, and this time, he speeds out of there. Again, we can see in the surveillance.
The car seen leaving at a high rate of speed around 4:20 a.m., careening around the street.
And when we can see where he's leaving, and he ends up going kind of like through some back roads. He
Mm-hmm.
takes, I mean, we know from cell phone data that he doesn't take like the direct route home. He kind of wanders through these back roads on his way back to Pullman, Washington, which again we later learned that's where he lived when
Yeah.
was a student. So
Yeah, he starts going south and then kind of goes through all these weird roads and then ends up going north, but it's a weird route. Um so yeah, he's driving. The road would have been bumpy and unforgiving, jostling, and the part one closes with, quote, "On the bed beside Maddie Mogan, he'd left the sheath of his knife."
which was a key mistake and is a key piece of evidence.
Yep.
So I think that's a good place to wrap this
Yeah.
up before we'll start part 2 next time.
Yeah. All right. I am very much enjoying this book. I am surprised. Surprised is the wrong word, but I guess it's a bit surprising to me how difficult it is to read it. I'm like
Oh,
a true crime gal, and it's actually kind of a relief to me that I'm not totally desensitized to true crime stuff, but
yeah.
it's a really well written book, which makes kind of it very like visceral what is happening and what happened to these kids.
And actually, it honestly gets a little bit more graphic as we move on. So
Yeah, we'll try to keep that as limited, I guess, as we can. But a lot of what happened to them becomes evidence too. So we'll do our best.
all right, guys.
All right, we'll see you next
Take
time.
care. Have a good one.
We will start part 2.
Bye.
Bye.